This next book I have to review for you is called On Dialogue by, his full name there, David Bohm, or Bohm. This book was given to me by a good friend on Goodreads by the name of Warren, who lives in New York State. Sent it to me a few years ago. I'd never heard of it, and then I looked up the author's name, and apparently he's a physicist. Sort of forgot about it and then picked it up again. Apparently recognized as one of the greatest theoretical physicists of the 20th century, actually. And despite my background in physics, I have a degree in it. I'd never heard of his contributions to the field, and I'd certainly never heard of his contributions to other fields, including whatever it is you would call this book. Is it philosophy? Is it communications? It's not really an attempt at literary theory, but some of it seems to resemble that. It fancies itself a visionary way of reimagining and reawakening the power of human communication, but much of it sounds like, at least to me, New Age occultism, really. Spooky and obscurantist, weird, and much of it, frankly, unfounded. The author thinks that following his recommendations will result in a kind of enhanced, unbiased conversation, which he insists on calling dialogue, between people that will help foster a common sense of humanity, and that our dialogue with one another has been irrevocably tainted by personal ambition and unexamined prejudices. Because we have these presuppositions, these unquestioned prejudices, we can only engage in conversations, which is somehow very different from dialogue, which is the idealized type of human interaction. How conversation is different from dialogue is never really discussed. The way we can reestablish this most meaningful type of human connection is by letting go of these ambitions and prejudices and unquestioned presuppositions that we have about others and their ideas, and engaging in something more authentic, I guess you might call it. He says that dialogue should ideally begin with no set purpose, no leader, no hidden assumptions or opinions which will only serve to make you defensive during the course of the dialogue. Now, gentle reader, or gentle listener, I should say, there is a difference between suspending opinions which might be culturally or religiously biased, which is something I would completely understand doing to open the dialogue fully up, and what Bohm is asking us to do in this book. He seems to want us to sit down and to listen to absolutely anyone say anything they sincerely believe. But the problem with sincerity is this: it and $4 will buy you a cup of coffee at Starbucks. Okay? The fact that you sincerely believe in something is not evidence for that something. Considering that Bohm is a scientist and is ostensibly on the hunt for something resembling truth about the physical world, this is somewhat disheartening to read. Do I need to suspend my judgments about the absurdity of Holocaust denial when I speak to someone who actually denies historical reality? Or fail to adduce the evidence that the Earth is roughly spherical to a flat earther while engaged in a conversation with one? For someone who thinks that the scientific endeavor is something other than an utterly futile one, how can someone genuinely think these things? To request that we listen to varying opinions, measure their respective amounts of evidence, and adopt the one that has the most explanatory power, all the while maintaining a cool head about those who have very different ideas from our own, is a very good idea. Actually engaging people with ridiculous, patently false ideas is another. Not only is it silly, but it's dangerous. There are some people who should be disabused of their false ideas. In fact, if that's not the main point of dialogue, it should be one of its major reasons for existing. To say that dialogue shouldn't be used for the purpose of convincing people of things we know to be true is detrimental to the idea of any kind of human interaction, especially if you believe that some things are true and some things aren't. This is mostly a collection of ad hoc work and was not meant to be a comprehensive argument. It's a collection of essays brought together, with only a couple of pieces having been published elsewhere. Most of what I spoke about above is found in the first piece called On Dialogue. The subsequent pieces serve to expound upon the first in minor tangential ways, and none of them seem to be as egregious as what was set forth in the first piece on dialogue. If this is the kind of uncritical work that Bohm is known for, I think I can safely bypass his other stuff and regard him for what he is, and if the man were still alive, suggest he stick to what he's obviously best at, and that would be physics. On Dialogue by David Bohm.